that same gentleman had a very valuable coin collection, but under his insurance policy, the cap on that was $50.
Wow.
Yeah.
$50?
$50 for his $30,000 worth of coins and gold and silver that his grandfather left for him. A lot of times when we're shopping for our insurance policy, we're just looking for the cheapest premium. And that's fine. Life is expensive. We're looking for the best value, but it can come back to bite you when it comes to your property insurance policy. It's important to speak with your agent about what are all of the exclusions and exceptions of the policy. One thing that we're seeing a lot more and more now are policies that have a $10,000 water loss cap. If you have a water loss in your home, whether it's a pipe burst, anything of that sort, $10,000 to deal with that loss is usually not going to be enough. If you have to call out a remediation contractor to bring out dryers to dry out your property, or if it then gets to a point of there being mold, and then sometimes you also see these mold caps also of $10,000, that's something that you want to speak to your insurance agent about to see how much it will cost, the difference in your premium of going with a policy that does not have those caps on it. Because two of the most common losses that you'll experience here in Florida are either a water loss from whether it's an interior pipe burst or from a leaking roof. And then the second part is a roof claim. So those are the two parts of the policy that you want to be looking at. I've also had clients come to me now showing me that their insurance agents are shopping them policies that exclude their roof. And it's like, at that point, if you're capped on water damage, your roof is excluded from the policy, then what are you really insuring at the end of the day when you're blocking yourself out from two of the most common claims that happen to homeowners here in Florida?
And most of us, I don't do any first-party property or homeowners insurance claims, so I wouldn't even know what the most, claimed damage is. So knowing that, those are two of the most important things if you're a Florida homeowner. And again, could you just repeat those one more time, Ethan? Roof
and water losses. Whether it's a result of water coming in through the roof, or just a pipe burst in the home, or just some other sort of interior water event of that nature.
And even though we don't get hit by, you see other parts of Florida, and maybe you all saw this in Melbourne, but I know Jacksonville in the last 25, 30 years, we might get a Category 2 off the coast or something, but I don't think we've had necessarily a direct hit. I know St. Augustine got pretty beat up several years back with some bad flooding. But we do have a number of storms here in the summer that are pretty ferocious. Can you talk us through some of the storms? So even if it's not a tropical storm or a hurricane, what type of storm damage do you see?
Here in Florida, in almost every part of Florida, we still see a lot of hailstorms and also windstorms. Without it being a named storm or a hurricane, you have storms that pass through with 60, 70, 80. I've seen up to 107 mile per hour winds on unnamed storms passing through, and that can cause an immense amount of damage to somebody's roof. That's ripping shingles off. You have a bad hailstorm, it can completely decimate the lifespan of somebody's roof at that point.
I forgot to ask you, too, on the first side of the break, before a major storm is coming in, would it also make sense to take pictures of your property before the storm hits?
Absolutely. The more documentation you have, the better. Being able to show your property before the loss and after the loss, videos as well. I've had clients who it's helped their case where, the insurance company, let's say it's a hailstorm, the insurance company's trying to say, well, the hailstorm didn't hit your home because we have a report that shows that it didn't. And the client has a video from that date and time showing, the golf ball size hail smashing their property. So, documentation.
Do you know how much it, or can you tell us how much it costs for a Florida homeowner to hire you or your firm or somebody that handles first-party property? How much does it cost them out of pocket, if anything? Do you do it contingent? Can we talk about some of that?
It costs them nothing out of pocket. We operate on a contingency. we don't get paid unless you get paid. No recovery, no fee. And if there are any costs involved, if filing a lawsuit or retaining experts and engineers, we advance those costs and they're recouped once we make a recovery for you.
Which that seems like you all would have to advance, money for these experts that climb up on roofs and
we do.
Are the ones that are able to, do the engineering or construction or, hey, this is what should have happened, or this is what it's valued at. And this is what they valued at, right? I mean,
absolutely, and we advance the cost of that. So when you hire us, you're not just hiring us; you're hiring our team of experts that we bring along to assist. And the insurance company has their team. Now you reach out to us. Now you'll have your own team as well.
And Ethan, so we talked about different types of policies and what some of these caps are related to water loss or mold. What I know during the break we talked about flood insurance, how that might be a separate policy.
Yes.
Is that something that Florida homeowners should consider even if they don't live live on the beach? I mean,
I would say they should at least get a quote for it to see if it's something that they could entertain being able to afford, because one of the sad things that I think we're going to see with the storm that has hit the southwest part of our state is that a lot of that damage, the insurance companies are going to claim that it's not water damage, but it's actual flood damage, and it's going to be excluded from the policy. And with most people, they have flood insurance because their mortgage company required them to do so for being in a flood zone. But if they're not in a flood zone, a lot of times they don't get that coverage. So I think everyone should take a look at and get a quote to see if it's something they could at least consider doing.
And how do you evaluate the property claim as a whole? I mean, how do you put a number? If somebody called you and said, Ethan, I need you to help with my property insurance claim. They lowballed me. They are trying to get me to accept something that I think is not worth the value. They've denied my claim. They're delaying it, right? They keep asking for documentation after documentation. How do you put a number on what somebody's claim value is worth? And then you talked about attorney's fees on first-party property. How does that come into play as well?
So we evaluate the value of the claim by getting one of our experts out there. We do our own assessment of the property. We have an estimate put together for how much the repairs are going to cost in comparison to what the insurance company is outlining that they will cost. As far as attorney's fees go, here in the state of Florida, we have a statute that provides, and also it's part of most of the insurance policy contracts because they also follow the statute that the insurance company, so long as you prevail against them, they have to pay your attorney's fees. I will also note that that's something that is constantly under attack, but as of right now, that still stands. And
we're going to talk about that. You're going to want to tune in for this, folks. We're going to talk about that in a moment, what the Florida legislature is doing to first-party property claims. There are a number of things out there. Obviously, we've got some groups saying that property insurance claims are frivolous. We've got homeowners that are saying that their reasonable claims are being denied. And obviously, there's a lot to kind of unpack there. But Ethan, are you buying what we're seeing in the news where we've got all these insurance companies leaving the state?
Absolutely not. I personally think that the insurance crisis that they're talking about is fake, and it's just an opportunity for the insurance companies to just consistently raise premiums on the Florida homeowner. And the war on fraudulent insurance claims, it's very overstated. At the end of the day, in every industry, there are going to be bad actors. They're bad attorneys, right? But every roofing contractor isn't bad. Every public adjuster isn't bad. It's the insurance company's war on not wanting the homeowner to be represented and protected. And that's what's happening now. So it's being put out there that, there are tons of insurance companies leaving the state of Florida. They're all going into bankruptcy or receivership. And it's just completely overstated and overblown. It's the insurance companies, with each special legislative session that they have, they're just slowly trying to chip away and take more rights away from the property owner.
Because, I mean, ultimately, at least when I see the headlines, right, millions of Floridians or whatever it was are now having to self-insure because they can't find insurance.
or go to
read
Citizens.
Say that again.
Or go to Citizens Insurance, the insurance company that's backed by the state of Florida.
Right. And I see that, and I do some research, and I'm like, well, is this because of what you said? They can't get people to pay higher premiums, or is it just cutting into their profitability to the point where they don't think it's worthwhile anymore? Which is their right as a business, right? But I think it's more so that, but it's under the guise of all of these frivolous claims, right?
Right. And at the end of the day, what the frivolous claims are them simply having to make good on the policies that they've entered into, their contracts that they entered into, and the amount of fraud is exaggerated. What the insurance companies are calling fraudulent claims are simply claims that they have to pay out on that they don't want to pay out on because it's cutting in to their bottom line.
I agree with you. And I think that the saddest part to me is that you have all of these Floridians and military families and consumers that dutifully and faithfully pay their premium every single month on time, making sure that the insurance company gets their money so that if they ever need it, they're covered. And years and years and years go by without anybody doing anything. And the one time they need them,
now here's a denial with a bunch of excuses that don't make sense. Your damage is wear and tear. Your damage is previously existing damage. If it's a roof claim, I've even seen on there's foot traffic noted on your roof. It gets kind of outrageous.
A lot of Canadian geese up there just stomping around, huh?
Yeah.
So what is it that that homeowners can do when they look at buying a policy, and what is the most bang for their buck? I mean, what should their policy include if they're buying a house here in Florida?
Make sure that for one thing, make sure that the personal property portion of your policy covers the amount of and the value of the things that you have. Something that I've seen unfortunately happen to people also are not taking into account personal items that aren't well enough insured under the policy. For example, weapons. It's Florida. A lot of people have guns.
Sure.
I've had a client come to me with a claim. And a lot of times part of your homeowner's insurance policy, it covers theft of your items. He had $30,000 worth of weapons. Well, the cap on his policy is $2,500. And that's all that he got. So if you have certain things, if you have certain hobbies, or you have more expensive items, make sure that you're getting coverages that cover all of those. That same gentleman had a very valuable coin collection, but under his insurance policy, the cap on that was $50.
Wow.
Yeah.
$50?
$50 for his $30,000 worth of coins and gold and silver that his grandfather left for him.